Here's a drinking game for you if you're old enough to drink. Take a drink every time I say Spider-Man or the word spider. I guarantee you'll be wasted before the end of this video because I'm going to be saying it a lot today. Good luck! Also, small warning for you arachnophobes out there. While I'm not going to be showing any images of spiders, because honestly I just don't want that saved to my hard drive, I do have to talk about certain types of spiders in detail because, you know, it's Spider-Man. Alright, with all that being said, let's get on to the video. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to What If, the series that asks what would happen if gaming looked just a little bit different, where I want to start this episode by asking you guys a question. What's your favourite superhero? Superman, Iron Man, multiple man, maybe? You know, I was originally asking this as like a setup for the episode and to give me a good transition, but now I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments what your favourite superhero is, I would love to know. Anyway, if you were to ask me what my favourite superhero was, my answer would definitely be Spider-Man. Partly because of Tom Holland, but mostly because of his powers. Definitely, mostly because of his powers. Anyway, I love Spider-Man, so of course I played Spider-Man 2018 as soon as it came out, back in, well, 2018. Admittedly, I didn't finish it, I just didn't have the time to, but I had a ton of fun with the little I played, and just as much fun watching other people play it. There's just something about swinging through a beautiful city at blinding speed that is both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, you know? So, why am I talking about a game 3 years after it came out? In all honesty, the answer's game theory, and their recent-ish theory on Spider-Man Miles Morales. That video reminded me of the Spider-Man games in general, but also the huge wave of videos that came out based around drawing your Spidersona, aka yourself as Spider-Man, after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out and revealed that basically anyone can be Spider-Man. So naturally I thought, why not draw my own Spidersona and jump on the trend 3 years too late? That'll be fun. And so, here we are. Today, I'm going to be drawing my own Spidersona to answer the question, what if I was Spider-Man? What would my outfit look like? What kind of powers would I have? Let's find out, shall we? Alrighty then. I suppose the best place to start when introducing you all to my Spidersona is by giving you her superhero name and also a bit of her backstory. So allow me to do just that in the same way as we did in the Among Us video, by telling you a little story. So my Spidersona, known as Night Hunter, you'll see why I picked that name in a second, was once an ordinary girl, much like how every version of Spider-Man starts out. An only child, she lived with her parents in London, and would spend her days secluded in her home by choice. She was never one for outside activities like shopping sprees or extravagant parties. She would much rather spend her days carefully crafting her own fantasy world inside her home, and her favourite room to do this was in the basement of her parents' house. She would spend hours pacing the dark corners, examining every box, every crack in the walls, every small creature that called that room their home. And it was here that she met the spider that would change her life forever. You see, false widow spiders are surprisingly common in the UK, which is kind of a terrifying thought when you find out they can and do bite people. So when this girl found a small false widow who had made a home in the top corner of her basement, she decided to try and pick it up and release it into the outside world. However, this spider, who just so happened to have gotten caught in the crossfire of some kind of nuclear test because, well, superpowers always come from radiation apparently, decided to lash out and bite. And the rest, as they say, is history. Night Hunter was born that day, and while she rejected her powers at first, she soon came around and became the nocturnal, British swinging superhero. Now, admittedly this is a pretty basic origin story, but it does the job in this instance, I think. Now, of course I had to change some things about the character to make things more interesting and dramatic, so this character isn't exactly a one-to-one recreation of me, but it's close enough. For example, I don't actually live in London, but where I do live doesn't exactly have a thriving city with huge skyscrapers to swing between, so the setting had to change slightly. Also, our house doesn't actually have a basement, but when I found out about false widows and the fact that they like dark, high-up places, I ended up thinking a basement would probably be the best room for this nocturnal spider to be found. False widows can also apparently inject a weak type of venom, or poison, I've honestly forgotten which, So while I didn't draw it in great detail in the art itself, I imagine this swinging superhero would have some kind of mechanism to dispense venom. Maybe at the tips of her fingers, like how the future Spider-Man of 2099 has those tiny claws on the end of his. One final note about false widows, you'll probably notice that I mentioned that they're nocturnal. So I decided to take that fact and incorporate it into my character by giving them the name Night Hunter. Get it? Like they hunt in the night? Okay, I've ruined this by explaining it now, haven't I? And also going for a glow-in-the-dark theme for my costume design. Which brings us to the final thing I need to explain in this video, the design process. Pretty much as soon as I started coming up with ideas for this, in terms of design, I knew I wanted to take inspiration from Spider-Gwen's hooded head and give my own character a hood. I just think it looks really cool. It's one of my favourite things about her design, in all honesty. It was then that I had the idea of taking inspiration from my own avatar for this Spidersona and giving her a version of the hoodie I'm wearing in that. Which, if you didn't know, is actually based on the new Game Theory hoodies, specifically the Special Task Unit ones. Look at us mentioning Game Theory for a second time in one episode, huh? Deciding to base this Spidersona on my avatar also allowed me to decide on the colour scheme pretty quickly, that being green, black and grey. Honestly, I did want to try and incorporate the blues used in the channel's logo and banner and the like, but I couldn't really work out how to do that when I first started out. Looking at it now though, I think it would be kind of cool to add to the whole glow-in-the-dark part of her outfit and have the lights maybe change colours from green to blue to maybe red, like some kind of mood light. Either way, I just love the idea of a spider superhero swinging through the city at night and flashing through buildings in a blur of green light. I just think that looks so cool. Also, to keep the stealthier part of Spider-Man's whole deal present, I think Night Hunter would also be able to turn the lights on and off as she wishes. Because obviously you're not exactly going to be able to sneak around a warehouse full of bad guys easily if you're glowing bright green the whole time. As you can see in the drawing, I didn't want to just draw a standing character in a basic pose. I wanted to try and draw the character in certain situations and poses to make things more interesting. As you might have seen in the sketches, I originally wanted to draw Night Hunter in the classic hanging upside down Spider-Man pose, but it kind of ended up looking weird in the sketch, and I decided to just leave it out eventually and replace it with a close-up on the head instead, which was much easier to draw. I definitely need more practice with complicated poses like that before I try and make them fully fledged drawings or anything. One pose I did decide to keep in the final drawings, however, was a close-up selfie-style pose that I wanted to create in reference to both Spider-Man 2018's and Spider-Man Miles Morales' photo modes that allow you to take selfies and just take really pretty pictures of the scenery around you or of yourself. I just thought it would be cool to draw this character as if she was in her own game that had similar mechanics where you could take photos of the expansive London cityscape. But to be honest, when it came to googling background images of the London cityscape, it was actually really difficult to find one that looked like it could be reasonably taken from like on top of a building or something. I ended up just having to go with what I think is the Thames Bridge. I'm honestly not sure. I ended up having to just go with a bridge anyway, because it was the only one that, you know, I could actually put my character on top of and have it not look like she was floating in the air. And with that, I think I've said all I need to about the design process, actually. This is shaping up to be the longest and most detailed explanation I've ever done, I think. So, well done if you managed to sit through all of my ramblings. Anyway, let's take a look at the final results, shall we? And there we go. As always, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. I think this is one of my favourite final drawings in a video so far. I just love how the suit came out and all the different drawings I made for this one. Plus it's just super fun to draw glowing things in general. Variety is fun! With that being said, make sure to leave suggestions for future episodes in this series down in the comments, and share ideas for your own Spidersonas if you feel like it. Have a good day guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!